Welcome to Small Business, Big Network, the podcast for small business owners who want big results from their networking. I'm Liz Drury, a freelance voiceover artist who knows that if you're not working, then networking could help. Sam Hollis is a website designer currently living in Southern Africa. However, thanks to online networking, it's almost like he never went away. Thank you very much for joining me on my podcast today, Sam.
That's all right. Good to be here.
Now, Sam, I know you as a website designer, but tell me about your previous jobs, because I don't think that's the job that you've always done.
No, so I've done a few things. I used to do support for Hewlett-Packard for the little palm-top computers, which were things before the smartphones came in, which was, so my job was 90% of the time telling people to turn it off and on again. I then did intelligent lighting for a while, so that was like, you go into an office and if you're in a corridor, the lights are on in the offices, and if in the office the corridor doesn't go on, so you can get home, and if you're in the toilet, hopefully the light will stay on while you're there and all that sort of thing. So we did that for, I did huge projects like the HSBC Tower in Canary Wharf and things there, and then I decided to train as a teacher.
Right.
And that was the next 13 or 14 years, going through various schools in various places. From sort of 11-year-olds through to 18-year-olds, teaching science.
Right.
And in the end, mainly teaching the sort of top end 17, 18-year-old A-level physics, which was which was great because they were the people who really, really interested and the people who really wanted to be there.
Yes, I think that makes such a difference, doesn't it, when you've got kids who actually want to learn.
That's it. Yeah, they were really interested. They really wanted to be there. So they were really fun to work with.
So what was it that made you decide to set up your own business?
I tried small businesses on and off. So we moved up to East Yorkshire and we had a small holding. So we tried sort of small businesses linked to that. So I started selling meat because we had some pigs and sheep. And that was very small scale because the field was quite small, but we did a bit of that. And we used to have people coming along, so people who would buy the meat, they'd sort of buy half a pig in advance, and they'd come along and help do fencing and that sort of thing. That was quite a fun project, but always going to be limited in its size. And we took up going to some of the farmers markets as well, doing bakery and jam. So I sort of, every so often before the Humber market would be up till 2 a.m. baking and up again at 4 finishing off. So did that for us. So did bits and pieces, and then I think I was getting kind of tired with the teaching. I'd done it for a long time. The managers were getting younger and yet less realising that you had a life outside school, and so it was eventually time to move on and do something different. So I sort of put it all together. I'd always made websites for sort of friends, clubs I was in, that sort of thing. Yeah. So I sort of decided time to sort of make a bigger business and give it a go.
And how has it grown since those days?
Well, a lot. To start with, I didn't really know how business ran, really, so I sort of, stumbled across a client, was happy as Larry, and sort of just built a website for a while, and then that's all I did. It's changed a lot since those days. We've now got, I've got how many customers off the top of my head, 60 or 70 sort of monthly customers. We've got other people to come to us. I've got sort of 3 website designers who are regularly working for me, another few who we call on to extra jobs, a writer I work with, and a VA. So it's sort of grown substantially into quite a big business at the moment.
Yeah. And so who are your clients? What kind of businesses do you tend to build websites for?
So I sort of have them in 2 groups. I work a lot with small businesses who are either sort of business to business services or sometimes trades, and then we build them smallish websites, sort of 5-page, 8-page sales websites. So the key is to get somebody to pick up the phone, drop an email, make an appointment, whatever it is, but get in touch and start to talk about that service. So we have a lot of those as clients, and then we're sort of working with some bigger companies doing things like e-commerce and some networking groups where the website's more complex. So it might be that people need to be able to book to go networking, but also people who sponsor the network can write articles, people can see those articles and it all sort of links together, that sort of thing. So we've got the sort of the 2 groups, the sort of e-commerce and networking side, the sort of bigger businesses, and then those smaller, small limited companies and sole traders.
Yeah. Now, you and I met in person through networking a few years ago now, but you're no longer in the UK, are you? Tell us where you are now.
So no, I currently live in Mozambique, which is quite interesting. Been here since March 2020. So yeah, we came out at rather an interesting time. We got the very last flight in that was possible as we flew through Johannesburg in South Africa, and they were shutting down completely at the time. So we had to change flights, fly in the very last day, and get into Mozambique and make it up as we went along from there, really.
And what was it that prompted you to move out there?
It was my wife's work, really. So she was working in Humberside, and we were in East Yorkshire, so that all worked well. She was just in Saltend, and then that company closed down, and she ended up working in Peterborough. And Peterborough to Beverley, if anyone knows the two places, is an awfully long commute.
Yes.
So that was a bit long. She fancied something completely different, and so the business she was with had a bit of a discussion and got offered a secondment to Africa. And with a bit of filtering on where schools were near the businesses and stuff, ended up with Mozambique.
Wow. And so how did your clients react to the fact that you were disappearing to the other side of the world?
They seem fine. I think they're slightly bemused. But I mean, my main worries when I came out would be a bit odd not meeting people in person, and it would be a bit odd not networking things in person. And I moved out in March 2020, so kind of my main issues were resolved 10 minutes after I arrived, when suddenly everybody's on Zoom.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like a terrible time to move in one way, but for your business and in terms of being able to network still with people back in the UK, it was perfect timing.
Yeah, no, I think that's the exact combination. Yeah, no, in terms of being able to still network and still meet people and things, it worked brilliantly, because suddenly, straight away, Zoom became the normal thing. So apart from the palm trees in the background, I was just the same as everybody else in the meeting.
Yeah, I remember seeing the palm trees in the background and being quite jealous of you, really, Sam. So tell me about the kind of networking that you did prior to going to Mozambique.
So prior to going to Mozambique, it was all in person. I don't even remember Zoom networking being a thing, really. No. I used to do a lot of 4N networking, and as you know, I used to run some of those meetings. By the time I'd left, I wasn't running them anymore, but still going. And I went to some other networking meetings in person. The Yorkshire Powerhouse was one of them. And then, so it was mainly those in person before I left. Yeah.
And so how did you find it once you got to Mozambique and everything went online? Well, not just for you, but for everybody. How did that work for your business?
It worked quite well. There was sort of advantages and disadvantages, I found. Suddenly you're meeting a lot more people in a lot more places, and that seemed really good. The thing I found that's more difficult is you don't know who to have follow-up conversations with as easily. So, for example, if you're in a room with people, you'll stand by someone by the coffee machine and have a 2-minute chat, and you'll move on and chat to somebody else for 5 minutes. You'll fairly quickly get a gauge of, that person, probably not worth me following up with this person. We could be able to work together really well. It's definitely worth, catching up with that person. You don't get to have those chats. So although you're suddenly meeting lots of people, you don't talk to them much. And so to start with, I was having a huge amount of follow-up one-to-ones, because I wasn't able to filter easily who was the best people to follow up with or not. I've got a lot better at that now, but to start with, there was a huge amount of one-to-ones, because I was just following up with all sorts of people that probably wasn't going to be particularly helpful to me or them.
Yes, I think that is the difficulty of online networking, isn't it? You can't just have a chat with somebody, as you say, by the coffee machine or in the corner. Because when you're in those big Zoom rooms, you can't have everyone talking at once, because it just doesn't work, does it?
No, that's it. It's chaos more than two people talking, and it's just a big mess. It is difficult.
So now that things are opening up again, I don't know how things are in Mozambique. Are there in-person networking meetings you can go to there?
When I first arrived in Mozambique, I thought about doing business here and working in the local business community, and there were a couple of things that have stopped me. The first was initially, now the restrictions are basically gone, bar a few things, but initially the COVID restrictions meant it was actually very hard to get out and speak to people and meet people, which was probably a good start with, because I didn't really know much about the area and things. The second is obviously language barrier, in that it's Portuguese is the main language here, and I think I'm the dunce in the family at learning that. They're always laughing at me for my Portuguese. My daughter's constantly telling me off. And then lastly, it's actually an incredibly difficult place to do business. It's in the sort of league of countries. It's like at the bottom, bar one or two, as the worst places to do country in the world, with corruption, red tape,
Right.
controlling families who are not going to be pleased if you step on their toes. It's
Yeah.
just, they do not make it easy in any way to do business here.
Yeah. So you've continued to grow your client base in the UK then, I guess?
Yeah, so my business, the only thing in my business not in the UK really is me. Oh, one of my designers, he's in Italy because he now has an Italian fiance. But yes, the business itself is a UK business with entirely bar one UK customers.
Yeah. So has it surprised you how you've been able to continue networking back in the UK, even though you're miles and miles away?
Yeah, no, and as I say that, it's really the COVID thing that triggered it, moving everybody on to Zoom. And it sort of stuck, hasn't it? So a lot of people are going back in person, but a lot of groups are also doing a mix, and some are staying completely on Zoom. So that way everyone was forced to try it, and now people are able to make their own match as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
with me being out here, it's just worked perfectly.
So what kind of online networking do you like? So there's all sorts of different sort of varieties of networking out there. What works best for you?
I like a few different ones. I like the ones where there's a lot of one-to-ones, where you get that sort of 5-10 minutes with one person or maybe a couple of people in a breakout room. Because like you say, it's just a lot of introductions, which can work well to suddenly link with a lot of people in LinkedIn and follow up. But it is hard to know who's going to be useful. But yeah, those meetings where it's sort of, 5-10 minutes in a breakout room with 2 or 3 people and then swap again, I find those really useful. So you can really, not get to know the people fully, but at least get a little idea of what they are, what they do, and if, it would be worth following up with them, or if, probably it was nice to chat and there's no point taking it further.
So how many meetings do you tend to go to a week?
I try and stick to one. I find with all the follow-ups and everything, otherwise I just run out of time. So I try and make sure I do one a week, but I really stick to that, because although it's often an hour meeting, I've done to a few recently that are 2. That's a long time on Zoom. By the time you've followed up and chatted to people, and then one-to-one, so it's sort of, you have to contain it somewhere.
Yeah. So if you were in the UK right now, what kind of networking do you think you'd be doing? Do you think you would go back into the room with real people? Not real people, in the real life, real world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think I'd do a mix, because I think I find what a lot of people find is the online networking is so much more efficient in that there's not the driving time. You're 2 minutes beforehand, you turn on your computer and you're there. While in real life, it's a half a day's journey. So I think I would probably do a mix, some online, but from time to time, and especially when it's, a group of people, it's really good to get to know better, make the effort to go to those ones in person.
Yeah. Do you think that your business would have been so successful and got to where it is without networking?
Not really, especially when I started having moved to East Yorkshire a couple of years before, so I really had sort of zero local network. I was in education before, and the links between education and business are pretty small, so I had zero network from there. So I was starting with nothing, if you know what I mean, no great network to work off, but nowhere to go to really for clients. And so I started networking pretty much straight away, and I built the business off networking initially, and now not all the leads come from networking by a very long way, but initially, that's really what started the business from nothing and started it growing.
Yeah. So have you got any advice that you would give to people who perhaps haven't tried networking before?
I guess it's not going and selling to people, because that's the automatic thing, and probably when I first went, that's what I do, because you're going for your business and you're going to sell things, aren't you? So I think that's the key. It's about getting to know people, and it's about getting to know how you can help them, and I think just go in and get to know people and enjoy it and see you can help, not in terms of selling them helping, but in just terms of what people who can you help, who can you connect, who in the room needs something that you can help with.
Yeah. So what plans do you have for your business going forward, Sam?
So we're just launching. We do what we call pay-as-you-go websites, which instead of the standard approach of if you pay £1,000, £2,000, whatever it is, and you get a website, it's like a monthly package, and we've done that for quite a long time now. So you sort of, for a lot of people, pay sort of 50, 60 quid a month, and you get a package with a website, domain, email, but there's not that upfront cost, and they're not locked in. They can just stop whenever they like, and we've done that so far for any business who is interested. But we're about to launch it for sort of particular areas. So we're just about to launch effectively a separate brand, which is websites for photographers, and that's coming online really quick in the next week or two. And then that's going to be followed by one for builders as well. So a really specific website offer for a very specific group of people.
Okay, so those are the kind of people that you're looking to be introduced to at the moment then, I guess, photographers and builders.
Yeah, definitely, and at the moment specifically in the sort of East Yorkshire, Lincolnshire area, I'm trying to start local and then build out. So it could be anywhere, but that's where I'm sort of trying to focus just to launch the idea.
Brilliant. So finally then, Sam, if people want to find you and find out more about the websites that you build, where's the best place for them to find you?
Best place is obviously I've got my website, which is samhollis.co.uk, and LinkedIn is usually the best place to find me, to have a chat, to see what I'm up to. When I'm not networking on the business, LinkedIn is normally the best place to find me. Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Sam, and enjoy the sunshine in Mozambique while I'm sitting in the rain in in North Lincolnshire right now. I'm not in the least bit jealous, Sam. Thanks for being my guest, and I hope to see you at an online networking meeting soon.
Great, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Thanks for listening to Small Business, Big Network. If you found this podcast useful, please do rate, review and subscribe. And don't forget to share it with the rest of your network too.